you've ever felt like tossing in a 9 to 5 and heading overseas, I'm about to show you how to turn your dreams into reality. Most travellers overseas start off with London, and why not? It's the hub of the working trail. I recommend Bayswater if you want to be where the action is. There are numerous hostels, restaurants and bars, and it is ideally situated, only a few minutes walk to Hyde Park and close to the famous West End. Covent Garden is a buzzing area day or night. It's packed with market stalls, elegant shops, famous restaurants and a colourful piazza with outdoor cafes. Here you can sit and watch the professional buskers or passers-by. The London Underground is the quickest and cheapest way to travel around London. You can save money by purchasing a weekly bus and train pass. I talked with many travellers working in London. Brian was temping as an accountant with Michael Page, and as a result had travelled quite extensively. Nikki was working at Carlton TV and was about to head off to work in the Italian ski fields with Crystal Holidays. Paul temped as a clerk until he landed a job filming for the ABC. One of the great British institutions is the pub, and it seems like there's one on every corner. Aussies and Kiwis not only have a good reputation for working behind the bars, but when the work has been done, it's time to party. This video is intended to give you a brief glimpse of the countless attractions and special charms of some fascinating destinations around the world. We start in Athens, the gateway to the Greek Isles. From the Acropolis, one of the world's most famous landmarks, you can see countless examples of this city's bustling present and past. Situated at the foot of the Acropolis is Plaka, the oldest section of Athens. With outdoor tavernas and live music, it's a great place to take some time out. When visiting the Greek Isles, Santorini is a must, with its plunging cliff faces and quaint whitewashed villages. The accommodation is relatively cheap, and Santorini has numerous cafes and restaurants, beckoning for you to take some time out and gaze over the sparkling blue seas. If you're wondering how you get to the top, there are 567 steps or a cable car. If sailing is your passion, the Aegean is your dream come true, a sailor's paradise for hundreds of years. Another favoured island is Ios. With a deceivingly quiet port, most backpackers head to the village at the top of the hill for cheap accommodation. The motto of the island is life's a party and everyone around the world is invited. The Greek Isles are very popular for bar and waitressing work, or alternatively visiting some of the larger marinas and sailing your way around may be your forte. A word of advice, don't travel to the Greek Isles during European holidays as prices double. After Greece, why not cruise across to Turkey? The coastal resort of Kusadasi is one of the most popular ports along the Turkish coast. It is renowned for its Turkish baths, an absolute must, and of course the beaches. North of Kusadasi are the famous ruins of Ephesus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Here you can sit in the famous amphitheatre, used today as it was in 117 AD, or walk along 2,000-year-old marble streets amid temples. A little advice, a guidebook can turn a pile of rubble into an interesting story. The pursuit of pleasure is hard to define. While some people might go into raptures about history, others would far rather laze around on the beach from sunrise to sunset. Overnight, the markets at Kusadasi offer unique and exciting shopping pleasures, from famous brand names, leather and gold, to local souvenirs. We now head inland to Kamakli, which refers to Cotton Castle in Turkish. Legend has it that these formations are actually solidified cotton that was left out to dry by giants. These Australian girls have been working in Canada, tree planting, and also in the Cayman Islands, waitressing at a millionaire's haunt. They were taking some time out and spending summer travelling through Greece and Turkey. This mysterious snow-like landscape has attracted the curious to its fascinating thermal springs for centuries. Unfortunately, the motels surrounding the majestic wonder have tapped into the natural springs, preventing the water from flowing over all the lime pools and causing some discoloration. There is talk that the government is looking at closing the motels down to preserve the natural beauty. Believe me, it's quite a hike to the top from the village below, but it's well worth the walk to take in the astounding view whilst you laze in the flowing, mineral-rich, warm water. Further inland, we find unspoiled beauty of a different order, Cappadocia. There are panoramic views of the entire valley from the village of Uchasun, and you can still climb to the top of this ancient fortress. Some of the countless rock formations are still inhabited and have been for 2,000 years. The people in this area have carved houses, churches, and entire cities out of rock. After gazing at the striking landscape above, you can wander through unique underground cities, thought to be over 3,000 years old. The moonlight landscape of this unique and ancient area leaves you with an eerie feeling. The green, the dramatic terrain has been shaped by eons of powerful geological forces, a sculptural wonder. These bizarre structures are otherwise known as fairy chimneys. They look rather phallic to me. At Zell, you climb through the rock chapels, carved by early Christians, dating back to the 6th century. I will mention, this city was evacuated in the 1950s due to landslides. If you're looking for an adrenaline rush, this could be it. A visit to the underground cave restaurant in Avanos is a great way to indulge in the local cuisine and witness the dancers, entertainers from all the regions. We now head to Israel, which is steeped in history, and on the plane I spoke to Gemma, who had organised work in Israel.
Sorry, it's a bit boring. Yeah. You're going to Israel to work in the woods. How did you organise that? I've got a book that's it's all about working your way around the world, and it had an address in it for a book, so I wrote off, and they gave me information, and then I paid for it, and here I am.
A kibbutz is a cooperative village where production is controlled by the members and everything is owned by the community. Private property is limited to personal possessions. Your accommodation as a volunteer or a working visitor will depend on the size of the kibbutz. This is a dining room and local store where the community gather for meals or collect their groceries. A handy hint, larger kibbutzes tend to have excellent recreational facilities. You will be required to work 8 hours a day. You could be in the orchards picking oranges, grapefruits or lemons. Kibbutzim are responsible for most of Israel's agricultural production. Some kibbutzes also rely on industry and employ volunteers to work in their factories. The kitchen was my favourite. Preparing the food was one of the easier jobs. Alternatively, if you like children, you could find yourself working as a nanny. Now it's time to take in the sights. Jerusalem would have to be the world's holiest city, with the Dome of the Rock and Temple Mount. At the legendary Western Wall, otherwise known as the Wailing Wall, it is believed that the divine presence still lingers to this day. The Jewish have visited the wall for centuries to mourn the destruction of the First and Second Temple and to place their written prayers into the crevices. This practice is seen as a direct connection to God. If you desire, you can fax through your urgent prayer to a company in Jerusalem who will in turn place the message in the wall for you. A walk through the quaint little alleys, side streets and bustling markets of the Arab Quarter in the Old City is a must for the bargain hunter. Take a look around to compare prices first, and a word of advice, keep an eye on your bag at all times. Pickpockets are rife in this area. You can take a camel ride around the most famous Mount of Olives, where there is an excellent view of the Old City. We now head to the Dead Sea. The jagged cliffs rising from its edge are evidence of the rift in the Earth's crust. The lowest point on the surface of this planet, the lake has a salt concentration 8 times that of the ocean. The minerals make the water so dense that it is impossible not to float. Beware, do not get the water into your eyes or shave prior to swimming. Tourists travel from all around the world to smother themselves in the mud, renowned for its rejuvenating qualities, and, of course, the soothing effects on the nervous system. For a trip back in time, take a visit to Masada. You can either take the cable car to the top, or if you're feeling fit, you can try the walk. This awesome mountaintop fortress and palace, built by Herod the Great, was seized from the Romans by Jewish zealots in AD 66. The Romans fought for 2 years to recapture the fortress, and when defeat was imminent, the entire community committed suicide rather than surrender. The eerie ruins are now deserted. Egypt. Travel back 5,000 years, where kings and queens built amazing structures that still remain in use today. Take a camel ride around one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the pyramids of Giza, situated in the boundless Sahara. The majestic Sphinx still gazes across the timeless sands on eternal guard over the pyramids. We now head further south to Luxor, where scenic wonders abound. Here we take a horse and cart ride to the colossal site of Karnak, one of the largest temples in the world, with acres of sandstone, carved with inscriptions telling the stories of ancient times. One of the fascinating things about Karnak is the eerie feeling of being in the presence of a lost civilization. Every major period in the ancient history of Egypt is represented. Luxor Temple is also quite spectacular. Try and take in a light and sound show at night. Here we see the Winter Palace, as seen in Death on the Nile. Sailing leisurely up the Nile is a great way to take some time out, relax, and escape from the confusion of overland travel. From the Nile, we can witness the country's culture and ever-changing scenery. At Edfu, we visit the well-preserved temple dedicated to the falcon god Horus. This temple took over 200 years to construct and is one of the last great Egyptian monuments. On our way up the Nile, I had a quick chat with Karen.
And what would you say some of the highlights of travelling abroad are?
Oh, seeing a lot more of the world. It's much easier to do from London, and you learn about all these different countries in school, but it's an experience actually going to where these places are and seeing it all for yourself.
Improving your geography.
Yes, definitely.
It's part of that classroom.
Oh yeah, much more exciting too.
And do you have any handy hints for those at home?
Don't plan to stay for just 6 months, because you'll always extend.
The roofless temple of Komombo was built for the crocodile god Sabak and the falcon god Horus, and is appropriately situated on the edge of the Nile. As you continue to explore Egypt, you will see how Agatha Christie drew her inspiration for the great novel Death on the Nile. The mystique is alive and as big as your imagination. We are now in Aswan, the centre of the felucca lifestyle, a traditional sailing boat used for centuries and introduced by the Romans. Very relaxing, cheap and rustic. Whilst sailing around the islands, you can lose yourself in the tranquil beauty of the golden sands, or visit the Aga Khan's mausoleum. Whilst in Aswan, a trip to the majestic temples of Abu Simbel is a must. They cost $36 million in 1960 to reposition due to the rising waters of Lake Nasser. These remarkably striking monuments leave no visitor unmoved. Where you stay in Egypt will of course depend on your interests, budget and time. There are many vessels sailing up the Nile, providing various alternatives to see one of the world's greatest rivers. On dusk in Aswan, I strongly recommend a quick trip to the Old Cataract Hotel. Here you can escape from the crowds and enjoy the tranquility and abounding beauty. Whether you are in the affordable outdoor cafe, gazing at the enchanting scenery, or inside rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous, you can't miss the absolutely mind-blowing sunset. Hundreds and thousands of visitors from all over the world head to the Oktoberfest in Munich. If you have ever wondered what it's like, here's a sneak preview. Live and let live, eat and drink well is the motto. 13 beer halls with live music, 8 schnapps tents, and 1 champagne martini. Even the most discerning palate is well catered for. The spirited music of the umpire bands in the beer tents are bound to get you going. The background to all this merriment is an unbelievable amusement park. The objective is to drink beer out of glasses you can hardly lift, and then take a ride on the triple loop roller coaster. Or for those of you who have lost your sense of adventure, there are hundreds of other rides far more sedate. The reputable Hofra House is where thousands of Aussies and Kiwis congregate. Absolute party animals, living it up. Not everybody's seen. The custom: no ladies will wear bras and men shall not wear underpants. It's strictly adhered to, so wear them if you dare. The Oktoberfest connoisseurs claim it is something you cannot describe, you just have to be there. A word of advice: eat, drink and be merry, and take along the Barocca so you don't end up feeling like this lot. For further handy hints, purchase a copy of the Workaway guide. Special thanks to Downtown Duty Free, Imaginative Traveller, and Project 67. Safe travels.